Hi, my name is Bridget Renee and welcome to the Butterfly Garden. Today we will be doing two special projects to both protect and promote pollinators. Are you ready? Come on, let's transform and grow together.
You playing in the dirt?
I'm going to allow my outfit to be the giveaway for what we're going to be doing today. Does this hat tell you anything? We're going to be getting into my beehives. I want to share a little bit about bees and their importance. God created bees and butterflies, amongst many other flying insects, to be aids in this process of pollination. So basically, all of life on Earth is dependent upon pollinators. And maybe many of you don't know, but bees are endangered, specifically in areas that are urban. And it's really recommended that as many families as can have their own beehives so that they can facilitate the life of bees. Many of you have probably heard of these Asian hornets that have made their appearance in the United States of America and also in Europe. And they're beginning to destroy bee colonies, and it's a serious problem, as is pollution, air pollution, chemicals, pesticides that are killing pollinators. So I'm trying to create an environment that is friendly to my bees and to my butterflies, to say you're welcome here in my garden, and a place where they are safe. What we're going to be doing today is splitting my hive. So as you see, I have two hives behind me. I began with 2 healthy colonies this year. However, one of the colonies was attacked by ants and they vacated the premises for obvious reasons. But I quickly resolved that issue, and I found 7 drop powder that I put around this hive to protect my second colony, and it really did the job. Since then, my bees have been thriving, and I put a second box on top. And so what they're doing now is bees grow up into the hive. So on the bottom level is the nursery where they keep all the bee babies. And on the second level, they're starting to, or they have been creating a lot of honey. Now, typically you would need a third box placed on top in order to yield your own personal harvest, because the second box is the bees' food, not my food or your food. But what I'm going to do is I want to invest in the future of my bees and to help them multiply. So I'm going to check my hives and see if I am ready to split this hive. And that process involves taking a few frames of the nursery of the babies and a couple frames of the honey and put them in a new box in a second hive. And depending on which box has the queen, I'm going to try to keep the queen in her original box. However, if she goes to the second box, the bees left behind will create a new queen. So let's do this together and let's help promote pollination and keep pollinators thriving. All right, let's go. Okay, so the first step is that we're gonna take this cover off and we're gonna smoke the bees. What the smoker does is it causes the bees to be peaceful. Almost like if there was a forest fire or something, the smoke naturally calms the bees. So they're not intimidated by my entry. Okay, we have a good strong smoke going. So I'm going to take off the lid for the beehive. Take my hive tool and just pry off the inner lid. Here's a view inside of my upper box. I like to kind of keep my voice down a little bit to not bother my bees. But you can see it is buzzing with activity. Pun intended. You can see that from this frame over to this frame, they have made a lot of honey. Okay, here is the nursery. This is the bottom box, as you can see, of this hive. I have the top box right here. That's where all the honey is. And this is the brood chamber. So this is the nursery where there are anything from egg, larva, pupa, and nearly emerging bees. So I am working to find 3 frames of good brood to place in this bottom box right there. Okay, what I'm getting ready to do is swap the location of this box. This is the mother box. That is going to be the daughter box. And so this will be moving here. That box will be moving to the original mother box's location so that any foraging bees will return to the daughter box to be able to strengthen it. Okay, so I'm about to move these 3 frames, 1, 2, 3, and leave these 2 here for this colony. Okay, so here's the finished product. And you can see the harvesting bees are still going in and out. Here you can tell the bees are trying to get used to their new environment. They're trying to get their bearings, but I'm telling you what, I stirred them up and I made them pretty pretty angry. So all in all, this took about a couple hours. Honey child, I gotta be honest with you, that was not easy. Oh, I stirred those bees up. They were not happy. But who would be happy when their nest gets stirred and seemingly interrupted by a giant coming and taking their family away and removing them and putting them somewhere else? Of course, it's natural that the bees would be upset. So my purpose today was that I could have not done what I just did. I didn't have to divide them, and I could have added a box on top, a 3rd box on top of the other 2, and then I would have been able to harvest some spring honey. But I understand investments, and I want to invest in the future of my bees, and now I have 2 colonies, not just 1, but 2 in the making that are gonna grow and grow. And then from there, I can have 3, 4, it goes on and on. I am very tired, but tomorrow we will have another pollinator project. All right, see you tomorrow. What are you upset about, buddy? So it's the next day, and it's a beautiful day. I waited till it was a little bit later in the afternoon when the shade is mostly kind of covering this area. And that leads me to our second pollinator promotion project, which is, drumroll, Bruno. You want to tell him what it is? Come here. We are going to be growing a wildflower garden. The first step we're taking is to, once again, prepare the soil. My friend Mark came here and dug this ground up for me with his equipment. I laid down these wooden boards that my friend Pat Bates, thank you Pat Bates, she offered it to me, and it made a great border line and boundary line for my wildflower garden. So what I'm doing right now is really self-tilling. So I'm using this metal rake that my friend let me borrow, Jana, thanks Jana Niles, and I'm really just going through the dirt like this to till it up a bit to make it nice and loose. And also the cool thing about this rake is that you can adjust the width of the space in between it. So I'm making it a little more narrow because I want to weed out some of these bigger chunks in here, for lack of a better word. Chunks, get the chunks out of here. Okay, I've done a once through with the rake. It almost feels like sweeping in the house. So now I've put this rake on the most narrow option because now I'm going to go through a second time to get out some of the smaller bits of debris. This ground has now been thoroughly dug up. I have tilled it twice, and so we have most of the weeds and obstructions out. So now is for the fun part. Let's sow the seeds. Okay, first things first. I'm going to water the ground to get it nice and moist because we haven't had rain in a few days. I got this 120-foot hose for Sam's Club, and I think it was about $25 I'm glad I had it, because it's long ways for that dirt. The ground is nice and wet, so now it's time to scatter the seed. Ah, these are gonna be beautiful. I have to show you. These seeds are bigger. Wow, cool. Final step is to step. I'm going to walk over these seeds and make sure that they're kind of set in the dirt. Here is the finished plot of my wildflower garden. It's not perfect, but in just a few weeks, this is going to be looking really pretty. And most importantly, it's going to be feeding my sweet little honeybees and all the beautiful butterflies that always come and congregate in the butterfly garden. Thanks for joining me today again here at the butterfly garden. I really love to do projects and things that promote life. And pollinators are so important to all of life on Earth. God puts mysteries and hidden treasures inside of creation, and He cares about something as small as a tiny honeybee. So I learn more and more every day as I learn to garden and learn to help sustain and promote life. I bless you and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Keep flying higher.